In the last lecture, we have obtained the general result for the apparent frequency and the apparent wavelength of relativistic Doppler effect, that is Doppler effect in case of light wave. Now, using those general results, we are going to discuss properly two types of Doppler effect, which are actually longitudinal Doppler effect and transverse Doppler effect. So first of all, see what we have learned in the previous lecture, that we have assumed that there is a fixed inertial frame S, and in this inertial frame S, an observer A is fixed, and L is a source of light which is moving with respect to this observer A with a constant velocity v. So there was actually a relative velocity between the source and the observer, which is v, and the observer actually observes the light wave emitted from the source at an angle theta. So it means theta is the angle made by the position vector of this source of light with the velocity vector of the source, and in that condition we have obtained that the frequency received by the observer was actually nu, and that nu was equal to, as you can see here, root over 1 minus v square by c square over 1 plus v by c cos theta into nu naught. Here nu naught is actually the actual frequency which is emitted by the source. Similarly, we have also obtained the expression for the apparent wavelength of the wave, and that apparent wavelength we have denoted by the symbol lambda, and that lambda is related by the actual wavelength lambda naught by this relation. In fact, this relation we have obtained in the previous lecture, that lambda equal to 1 plus v over c cos theta divided by root over 1 minus v square by c square. Now, as I have told you, that our aim is to discuss the particular situations, that is the apparent frequency and apparent wavelength, particularly in case of two situations, particularly for two particular values of theta. So one is known as longitudinal Doppler effect and another is known as transverse Doppler effect. First of all, we will consider the case of longitudinal Doppler effect. When you say longitudinal Doppler effect, what does it mean? It means the source and observer has a relative motion actually on the line joining the two. That is, in this condition, there will be actually 6 situations that there will be actually 6 situations. In fact, broadly you can say there will be 2 situations. First one is case of approach. When you say case of approach, what does it mean? It means either the source L and the observer A both are moving towards each other. The another situation may be one of them is stationary. Let us say the observer A is stationary and the source L is directly moving towards the stationary observer. The third situation may be the source L is stationary and the observer A is moving towards the stationary source. But as you know, the speed of light c does not depend on the state of motion of the source and the observer. So in all of these 3 cases, that is when you say both are moving towards each other or either one is moving towards another, in fact in all these 3 cases, the apparent frequency and apparent wavelength will be same. Although you have definitely studied that in case of sound wave, when we study Doppler effect, then in all these 3 conditions the apparent frequency and apparent wavelength are different. But in this relativistic Doppler effect, in all the 3 cases of approach, apparent frequency and apparent wavelength will be same, because as I have told you that speed of light is independent of the state of motion of the source and the observer. That is, it does not matter that either the source is moving towards the observer or observer is moving towards the source, or both are moving towards one another. If relative velocity v is same in all these three cases, the apparent frequency will be same. So here I have shown in this figure that this L is directly moving towards this stationary observer A. You can see in this condition what will be this theta. You can easily observe that in this condition, if the light source L moves towards the observer A directly, then this theta will become equal to pi. So if we consider theta equal to pi, we will have the longitudinal Doppler effect, and taking this theta equal to 0 into the general result, we can obtain the expression for the apparent frequency and the apparent wavelength in case of approach. So remember here, in case of approach, theta is equal to pi. And if theta is equal to pi, you know cos theta will be equal to -1. And therefore, the apparent frequency nu, which we now denote by the symbol nu A for approach, you can easily write expression for this apparent frequency by using the general result, which is here, I have mentioned here. Simply you have to take this cos theta equal to -1. And so you can see what will be this nu A in this condition. This will be 1 minus v square over c square's square root and divided by 1 minus v by c, because in this condition cos theta is -1, and into nu naught. Now if you will simplify the numerator by the formula a plus b into a minus b for a square minus b square, then you can easily see that this apparent frequency will be equal to 1 plus v by c over 1 minus v by c whole square root into nu naught. Again you may take LCM, and then that will be c plus v by c divided by c minus v by c. C is a common factor, so that will cancel out, and the result is simply c plus v by c minus v square root into nu naught. So this is actually the apparent frequency in this case of approach. Now you can easily see that the numerator c plus v is greater than the denominator c minus v. So in this condition, the apparent frequency nu A will be greater than the actual frequency nu naught. So it is obvious that nu A in this case is greater than the actual frequency nu naught. Now again, you know that the wavelength is actually reciprocal of the frequency. So you can see as you know nu equal to c over lambda, and this implies nu is inversely proportional to 1 by lambda. So if we will write the expression for the apparent wavelength, simply what we will do, simply the numerator and denominator will be interchanged. So taking this clue into account, you can directly write the expression for the apparent wavelength. So apparent wavelength in case of approach, we will denote this apparent wavelength lambda by lambda A, and that will be equal to in fact c minus v over c plus v square root into lambda naught. And as you can see from this result, that in this case denominator c minus v is smaller than the numerator c plus v. So in this condition, actually you can see that lambda is in fact lambda means lambda a is actually greater. You can see that nu was greater, so this lambda a will be smaller than lambda naught. So you can see here that nu a is greater and lambda a will be smaller. So it can be easily seen that lambda a is smaller than lambda naught. So this is the expression for the apparent frequency and apparent wavelength in case of longitudinal Doppler effect. Now actually we will obtain a very important formula by taking into account this expression for the apparent wavelength in case of approach. Let us simplify this result A2 to some extent here. As you can see that lambda A is equal to c minus v over c plus v whole to the power half into lambda naught. Now let us take this c as a common factor in both numerator and denominator. What will be our result? This will be c into 1 minus v over c divided by c into 1 plus v by c and whole to the power half into nu naught. Now you can see that this c will cancel out and our result will be 1 minus v over c to the power half into 1 plus v by c to the power minus half. Now actually we will expand both of these factors by binomial expansion, but taking into account the fact that v over c is much smaller than 1, and you know from binomial expansion that when 1 plus x to the power n have to be expanded under the condition x is much smaller than 1, it is simply almost equal to 1 plus nx. So in this limiting condition, if we consider that v over c is much smaller than 1, so if v over c is much smaller than 1, then you can expand the RHS of this equation, and that will be what you can see here, that lambda a in that condition will be actually 1 minus v over 2c into 1 minus v over 2c. Actually here you can see I have used this binomial expansion under the condition x much smaller than 1, and at the place of x there is in fact v by c, and at the place of n there is 1 by 2. And so this will be simply 1 minus v over 2c whole square. Again we will expand this by binomial expansion, taking the same fact v over c much smaller than 1 into account. And so when you will expand this by binomial expansion under this limiting condition, you will find that this is 1 minus 2v by 2c, and here 2 and 2 will cancel out, and so what will be the value of lambda a in this condition? Here actually nu naught has been left, so you should write nu naught here. So this is nu naught and nu naught. So lambda a will be equal to 1 minus v by c into, this is not nu naught but lambda naught, because we are dealing with the formula for wavelength. So this is in fact lambda naught. lambda naught. So you can see that this lambda A by lambda naught will be equal to what? This will be 1 minus V over C. Now take this 1 in RHS in LHS, then what will be our result? You can see that lambda A by lambda naught minus 1, this will be simply equal to minus V by C. And now you can simplify it taking the LCM. This will be lambda A minus lambda naught over lambda naught, and this will be equal to minus V by C. Since lambda naught is the actual wavelength, lambda A is in fact the apparent wavelength in case of approach, so lambda A minus lambda naught, this is in fact Doppler shift, that is shift in wavelength due to Doppler effect, and we will denote this Doppler shift by the symbol d lambda A for approach, or you can equivalently write it as delta lambda A if it has a larger value. So this will be actually equal to what? This will be minus V over C into lambda naught. This is actually a very important result obtained from the case of approach, and let us say this is equation A3. What actually this equation tells us? Let us see here that you can see that there is a minus sign in RHS. What is actually the significance of this minus sign? In fact, this minus sign actually implies that when the source or the observer are moving towards one another, or you may say simply that when the source is moving towards an stationary observer, then actually there is a shift of wavelength towards the shorter wavelength. And you know, in visible spectrum, practically the wavelength of the blue color is smallest. So you may say that this shift is towards the blue end of the electromagnetic spectrum. This minus sign actually indicates it. So this result shows that when a source of light approaches an observer, then there is a shift in wavelength towards the shorter end of the spectrum, shorter wavelength end of the spectrum. And you know that in visible light the wavelength of the blue color is practically smallest or shortest. So this phenomenon is known as blue shift. So this is known as blue shift. But in fact, in case of celestial bodies, that is when the observer on the earth observes the light coming from any celestial body like a star, this blue shift is actually not observed. So it in fact implies that the celestial bodies are not moving towards the earth, but they are moving either away from the earth or that are not moving. So actually this blue shift is not actually observed in case of celestial phenomena. It means you can say that blue shift is not observed in celestial phenomena. So this is just a theoretical idea. Now we will see the another situation, which is the case of receding. So now we'll see case of receding. Case of receding. When you say receding, then there will be again actually three situations. That if you consider that A is our observer, L is the source of light, then if there will be the case of receding, then there will be three situations. You can say the observer A is stationary and the light source L is moving away from A. The another situation will be the observer A is moving away from the stationary source L, and the third situation will be both are moving from one another. So there are three situations in case of receding, but as you know, the speed of light does not depend on the state of motion of the source and the observer. So again, in these three cases, the apparent frequency and apparent wavelength will be same, although in case of Doppler effect in sound wave, actually we find that in all these three situations, apparent frequencies and wavelengths are different. But in case of Doppler effect in light, that is relativistic Doppler effect, in all these three cases, that is when the light source is moving away from the stationary source or a stationary observer, when the light source is moving away from the stationary observer or the observer is moving away from the stationary light source, or both are moving away from one another, we will have actually same apparent frequency and same wavelength. And now you can see what will be the actually value of this theta. You can see here actually this angle was theta, and now as the light source is moving in this direction, you can see this theta will become in fact 0. So in this condition, theta will be equal to 0. So simply putting theta equal to 0, or you can say cos theta will be equal to 1. So if we will put this cos theta equal to 1 in the general result, then we will get the expression for the apparent frequency and the apparent wavelength. And so you can see what will be the apparent frequency in this case. So apparent frequency in this condition, nu will be equivalently written as nu r, r for receding, and you know this is 1 minus v square by c square square root and divided by 1 plus v by c cos theta, but cos theta is equal to 1 and into nu naught. So you can see from here that this will be 1 plus v by c into 1 minus v by c a square root and divided by 1 plus v by c into nu naught. So now one of the square root of 1 plus v by c will cancel out, and we will have the result 1 minus v by c over 1 plus v by c square root into nu naught. and simply when you will take the LCM, the result will be C minus V by C plus V into nu naught with a square root. So we can get this nu r is equal to C minus V over C plus V whole square root into nu naught. So this is actually the apparent frequency in case of the receding. Now you can see as the numerator C minus B is smaller than the denominator C plus B, so you can easily say that in this case the apparent frequency nu r is less than the actual frequency nu naught. Although you have seen in case of approach nu is actually greater than nu naught, but in this case nu will be actually less than nu naught. When you say nu, that is apparent frequency, and nu naught is actual frequency. Similarly, you can see as the wavelength is inversely proportional to the frequency, so when we will write the expression for the apparent wavelength, simply this numerator and denominator will be interchanged and you can write the expression for the apparent wavelength directly. So you can say apparent wavelength In this case, we will denote this apparent wavelength by the symbol lambda r for receding, and that will be, as I have told you, you should interchange the numerator and denominator because you know the wavelength is inversely proportional to the frequency. And so this is the result actually for the apparent wavelength in this case. And you can easily see that as numerator C plus B is greater than denominator C minus B, so in this case actually lambda r is greater than lambda naught. Apparent wavelength will be greater than the actual wavelength. Now again we will find a result similar to as we have discussed the blue shift in this case, and for that again we will actually deal with the binomial expansion of the RHS of equation A2. So now you can see that this lambda r may be written as C into 1 plus V by C over C into 1 minus V by C whole to the power half into lambda naught. And again you can see this lambda r over lambda naught will be equal to, here C and C will cancel out, and you should write it 1 plus V over C to the power half into 1 minus V over C to the power minus half. And again we will actually expand these two factors by binomial expansion under the limiting condition that V by C is much smaller than 1. And as you know, in this condition 1 plus x to the power n is 1 plus nx. So what will be our result? Our result will be 1 plus V over 2C into 1 plus V over 2C. Here minus minus will be plus, and so this is simply 1 plus V over 2C whole square. Again we will make the binomial expansion under this same limiting condition, and we will get that lambda r by lambda naught is equal to what? This will be 1 plus 2V by 2C. That is, you can say this is 1 plus V by C. Now take this 1 in LHS, and when we will actually take this 1 in LHS, what will be our result? Our result will be lambda r by lambda naught minus 1 equal to V over C. And so you can say this is lambda r minus lambda naught over lambda naught, and this equal to V over C. Again, this lambda r minus lambda naught, this is Doppler shift in wavelength, and as we have denoted it by either d lambda r, or when it is in fact larger, then we denote it by delta lambda r, and that will be equal to V over C into lambda naught. And here you can see that this Doppler shift in wavelength is actually positive, not negative. So this will refer actually some different conclusion. You can see here that d lambda r, which is Doppler shift in wavelength, and since it is positive, so what does it refer? Actually it implies that when there is a receding between the source and observer, or you can say that a source of light is moving away from the stationary observer. In fact, in that condition, there will be an increase in wavelength. So wavelength actually shifts towards the longer wavelength side of the spectrum. And you know, in visible light, actually the wavelength of the red color is largest, and so this phenomenon is known as red shift. So delta lambda r or d lambda r is positive, and this implies a shift of wavelength towards the longer wavelength. And as wavelength of red color is highest, so this phenomenon is known as red shift. This is known as red shift. And I will suggest you have to remember this result, because when we will actually solve the numerical problems based on Doppler effect, this result will be directly used. So this is a very important result, and you should definitely remember it. And as I have told you that blue shift is not observed in celestial phenomenon, but in case of celestial phenomenon, this red shift is observed. And if red shift is observed in celestial phenomenon, what does it mean? It means the celestial bodies are moving away from the earth, and this actually confirms that our universe is expanding. So the phenomenon of red shift confirms the expanding universe. So this is a very remarkable fact regarding this. Now we will see the transverse Doppler effect. So what is this transverse Doppler effect? Transverse Doppler effect. You have definitely studied that in case of sound wave, there is no transverse Doppler effect. But in case of light wave, that is relativistic Doppler effect, actually transverse Doppler effect also takes place. When you say transverse Doppler effect, what does it mean? Let us say A is our observer and L is the source of light, and if this source of light is moving on a line at right angle to the line joining the source and the observer, then in fact you can see if the source is moving in this upward direction, then this theta will be equal to pi by 2, and if the source L is moving in this downward direction, then this theta will be equal to 3 pi by 2. So when the source and observer are moving at a right angle with respect to one another, in fact in that condition we say that transverse Doppler effect takes place, and the apparent frequency and apparent wavelength in this case can be found simply by taking theta equal to either pi by 2 or 3 pi by 2 in the general result. So in this case you can say, in this case theta is either pi by 2 or 3 pi by 2, and you know when theta is equal to pi by 2 or 3 pi by 2, in both cases cos theta will be equal to 0. So now simply substitute cos theta equal to 0 into the general result, then you will get the apparent frequency and apparent wavelength in case of transverse Doppler effect. So apparent frequency in this case, nu will be what? You know nu is equal to 1 minus v square by c square root divided by 1 plus v by c cos theta, but cos theta is 0, and into nu naught. So this will be simply root over 1 minus v square by c square into nu naught. So this is the expression for the apparent frequency in case of transverse Doppler effect, and you can easily see as this number square root of 1 minus v square by c square is smaller than 1. So in this case actually the apparent frequency nu will be smaller than nu naught. So it is obvious that nu is less than nu naught. Again you can similarly write the expression for the apparent wavelength. So apparent wavelength in this case lambda will be what? You know the formula for it will be actually equal to what? 1 plus v by c into cos theta, but cos theta is equal to 0, and divided by root over 1 minus v square by c square into lambda naught. And so you can see this lambda is simply equal to lambda naught over root over 1 minus v square by c square. So this is the expression for the apparent wavelength in case of transverse Doppler effect. And from here you can see, since the denominator is a number smaller than 1, so in fact in this case lambda is greater than lambda naught. So this is actually the Doppler effect. We have actually completed this Doppler effect in 2 lectures. Now in the next lecture we will see some of the numerical problems related to this Doppler effect, because the numerical problem based on Doppler effect is very important for various examinations, which actually are competitive examinations and also the academic examinations. So we will see some of the important numerical problems to clarify the concept of Doppler effect.